Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 475. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hello.
This week on the show, we're going to be talking about the latest from director Quentin Dupieux with Smoking Causes Coughing, which is available now on VOD platforms. We're also going to be going over some of what we've been watching on the watch list and this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have a moment, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That'd be great. I think we could just hop on in. Now, this is... I don't know how many Dupieux movies that we've reviewed on... I'm pretty sure that we covered more of his movies than any other. Like, every Dupieux movie that comes out since Wrong, I think...
Pretty much.
There were a couple here and there. I think we didn't really talk about Wrong Cops. I think I talked about it. We didn't do a full review. But there were like a couple, maybe one or two others. But yeah, for the most part, he's a mainstay of this show. His latest, Smoking Causes Coughing, I have a synopsis here. After a devastating battle against a diabolical turtle, a team of 5 Avengers known as the Tobacco Force is sent on a mandatory retreat to strengthen their decaying group cohesion. Their sojourn goes wonderfully well until Lizardin, Emperor of Evil, decides to annihilate planet Earth. Now, if that sounds ridiculous, you can better believe that it is. If you're not familiar with Quentin Dupieux, he is a fan of the absurd, and his movies are pretty out there, pretty goofy, pretty wacky. And this one is kind of a play on Power Rangers, really. It's like a almost a spoof of Power Rangers, but with the added sort of framing device that Mandible. It's also kind of plays out like Mandibles in a way. Anyway, we'll start with you, Kevin. What were your initial impressions of Smoking Causes Coughing?
Like most Dupieux, I didn't really know that this was a thing until the day before I watched it, which is really exciting. I should just know that by now. It seems like every year you at least get one Dupieux. Usually 2, if we're being honest. Over the last couple of years, he's really been cranking them out. And the weird thing is, they all do eventually get released in the United States, but they're always really low key releases. Mm-hmm. Just really, soft openings, really. And I love it because I always know what I'm getting with Dupieux. A, it's going to be short. Sweet. B, it's going to be entertaining. Always entertaining, even when they're not especially that great. It's still entertaining, and going in that you're going to be done and back to your day within an hour and a half tops. Usually not even that long. It's not the light. And his movies have sunshine in them, which is really nice. You can see stuff going on, so that's cool.
Definitely,
really an absurd.
He definitely has been going for this very bright, faded color palette.
I love it.
I don't know if Rubber had. I don't think Rubber had that kind of color palette. But all of his newer movies have that very kind of washed out look.
Yeah, and you just
very warm.
Yes. And with this movie is like a lot of his other movies where, you read the synopsis or whatever, seems silly enough, but you also know that it's not going to be that.
No.
And there's always that element of, this movie could go anywhere. I have no idea where it could go. And it's, like you said, it's, kind of a parody of Power Rangers, but it's only that for, the first, 5 minutes, and then it becomes an anthology film.
Yeah. That's the surprise, is that a large portion of this film's runtime is dedicated to people telling stories and us just going through these kind of scary stories, which is kind of a bizarre departure that you don't really expect.
And I was just surprised how fucking disgusting it was.
Yeah, it's super gory. It's definitely over the top gory. Which
I mean, I should have known when the tortoise exploded.
Yeah. The tortoise does explode at the beginning. But it's funny because that's like there's that, and then there's like another clip where they like just completely brutalize another monster, but that's like pretty much all there is for like the Power Ranger type stuff. Most of the time they're just on this retreat just telling stories. And then they catch a barracuda, and the barracuda tells a story.
Yes, of course. Of course the barracuda tells a story.
Yeah, it's hard to... I mean, so looking at this and comparing it to Dupieux's other recent works, I would say that this is... It's a little messier in that it's just like all over the place, but at the same time, it's just so light and breezy, and like you said, it comes and it goes. It's just very fleeting. And because of that, it's hard to really fault it for too much because it is just a very entertaining, funny, enjoyable movie.
Yeah. Like that's kind of where I've fallen with his movies now, it seems like, is I can't, like you said, I can't fault them because they're so short. They're breezy good time. There's so much damn creativity. And I mean, even when they're messy, it's like it's still I'm not getting this anywhere else, really.
Yeah. It's definitely a rare breed these days. I mean, I feel like we used to get a lot more movies like this that were just really out there, taking risks, really nurturing creativity. Less so now, but I definitely appreciate it. I think that this is this one, along with his other output, I think is very funny. I wasn't like laughing hysterically or anything throughout this, but it is definitely the kind of humor that I like. I don't know. Maybe there were some more like sight gags and stuff in this one, but I still enjoyed the humor of it. I don't know what else to say. It's Power Rangers going on a workshopping retreat and telling scary stories with each other.
Yes.
Like the stories themselves are very good. It's almost as if Dupieux had these short stories like floating around in his head and was like looking for a way to kind of frame them, and just figured this thing out. Like, oh, it'd be funny if Power Rangers were on like a corporate team building retreat, and they're telling these stories, because like the stories themselves are they don't really have anything to do with the movie, like the general plot of the movie, but they're still like really good on their own. Like the helmet one and the wood chipper one, like they're great. They're very bite-sized, but also very entertaining.
I also love just the worlds that he creates and how people react within them, like the wood chipper story, to be exact. And how the ant is like trying to get like one of the other guys to do the work, and he's like, absolutely not. This is your fault. You have to fix it. My guys aren't getting involved. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it was really fucking disgusting. I don't know what it was about it, but when I saw the contents of that bucket, before I even saw the contents of the bucket, I was like, please don't. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
And there's something about just the what was it, the chief DDA, and he's like a rat, I guess.
And he's like constantly drooling.
Yeah, it's like that green goo just constantly pouring out of his mouth. It's just fucking disgusting.
I like that that their robot. So they have a helper robot that helps them on each mission, and it's programmed to kill itself after the mission is over. And you just they look over, and they're like, "Oh, there's something wrong with the robot," and they pan over, and he's just sitting at the end of a dock, and then just rolls into the dock or into the water, and just never emerges. I also like how excited they were about the retreat, like the building that they were staying in, and they were really excited about the titanium beds, which looked like the most awful things ever. And the random, they had a supermarket with like a live-in full-time attendant.
I mean, it's stuff like that. It's just everything, like every aspect of his movies is an opportunity for the creativity in the sense of like just tweaking it a little bit to make it potentially something that you've never seen before. So that's what I mean. Like, it's always exciting going into these because it's like any aspect of this could be just completely absurd, and I have no idea where it could go at any moment.
Absolutely. Like, he is not a predictable director, that's for sure. And I'm sure that we've said these exact words with his last movie. Now, where does this stack up against his, I guess, his filmography for you? Like, is this where would this be?
This is a lesser work for me, but I enjoyed it more than the last one, The Incredible But True.
Same, yeah.
I enjoyed this a lot more than that. But for me, still, Keep an Eye Out and Deerskin are like that's the top of the top.
Yeah, for me, definitely Deerskin, top of the top. I liked Mandibles a lot too.
I enjoyed Mandibles and Reality. I was a big fan of those too.
I remember liking Reality a lot, but I don't remember major chunks of that one.
I kind of feel like going back to that one, revisiting.
But I do remember liking it a lot. Yeah, I think that Deerskin is still my favorite of his so far, but man, like, I think he's definitely hit his stride over the years, and his output has just been really impressive. Like, he's just cranking them out like it's nothing.
And Reality is on Tubi, so if you want to catch up with that one, go ahead and get loaded up on Tubi.
It looks like Incredible But True is on the Arrow streaming service.
Okay. Mandibles is on Hulu. Man, you have a whole fucking weekend. There's your Easter weekend, everybody.
Everybody from Mandibles was in this movie too.
Yeah.
It seems like he's starting to have regulars now. And a bunch of people, I don't know if not everybody from Keep an Eye Out. Well, maybe. A lot of people from Keep an Eye Out were in this one also.
God, that movie is just so fucking good. Such a ridiculous goddamn movie.
Yeah. All right, so that is Smoking Causes Coughing. I would say if you're a fan of Dupieux and absurdist comedies, absolutely check this out. If you're not into absurdist comedies, I don't know. I still almost think that it would still be fun to watch.
I just want to ask why. Why aren't you?
Yeah. I still think it'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. I also feel like, though, at this point in time, unless you're like a teenager, you should know whether Dupieux's for you or not.
Yeah.
Unless you're just getting into movies and you haven't seen Dupieux yet. But I also feel like if you have been into movies and you haven't watched Dupieux yet, it's probably because it just doesn't seem like that would be your thing.
Yeah.
So this isn't where you would start, obviously.
No, I think you'd want to start with maybe something a little bit more grounded.
But if you're into Dupieux, celebrate, because we have another one.
Yeah. Yeah, this one is it's definitely on par with what you would expect from him. So let's go ahead and give it a score. What are you going to give it out of 10?
I give it a solid 7.
I'm also sitting at a 7. I believe that Incredible But True was like a 6 or 6 or 6.5 for me. And I thought that this one was more engaging and just more fun than Incredible But True.
Yes.
And like in some ways, the helmet story in this felt similar to me, and it's like they got the same amount done in like 5 minutes, you know?
Yes.
Like with Incredible But True, it's like obviously not the exact same, but like it's about people who find a mysterious object in their house, and I don't know. I found the helmet one to be just more fun.
Yeah, and I just love that it took all but like 1 minute of isolated thinking.
Yep.
To be like, I hate everyone.
Everybody's just better off dead. All right. Again, that is available now on VOD platforms, so check it out there. It's also playing in limited release. Let's talk about some of what I've been watching. I believe that it is my turn this week. We took 1 or 2 weeks off. I don't even know. I feel like it's been forever, but I saw a lot of stuff, so I'll try to truncate it down. I'll start with the newest things. I saw Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. This is directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan M. Goldstein. If you're not familiar with them, they did Game Night. So, interestingly, if you liked Game Night, I think you're gonna like Dungeons and Dragons, because the level of comedy is on this. It's pretty much there.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
This is, I mean, it is very much a comedy. Like it is as much a comedy as it is like a fantasy movie, and it's very funny. The comedy really works. It doesn't. It does a good job. Now, just to be clear, I never played Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I'm familiar with some of the lore. I've played some of like the video games, like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights. Like, I played some of those in the past, so I'm a little bit familiar with some of the stuff. But I never actually played D&D. But with that being said, I think that they did a good job of taking elements from the game, translating them into a movie, and they did a lot more. Like, they sort of went above and beyond just transplanting like character archetypes and monsters and stuff like that. They actually sort of, like, the way that the movie is structured feels very much like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And there's like so many little like fan servicey things, Easter eggs, stuff like that in here, but it's done in a very kind of slick, organic way that doesn't detract from like the story here. Also, one of the things that I liked about this is that they didn't abandon the comedy in the final act when, you know, the action and the tension and all of that started to ramp up. They still kept it funny, even during like the big climactic, you know, fight at the end. They just did a lot of things right about this. The thing that it's such a surprising movie because the trailer was good, but I was still expecting it to be not great. And it really is way better, kind of on every level, than what you would expect, or that this movie has any right being. Like, the camera work and the editing, for instance, is really, really good. Surprisingly good. Like, they use some very stylistic camera movements and editing choices to make this like way more kind of stylistic and artistic than what you would expect from what is essentially a big, you know, fun popcorn flick. So, huge surprise for me on this, and I definitely recommend seeing this in the theater if you can. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Had a blast. Absolute blast with this.
Incredible. Who would have thought?
Yeah, one of the biggest surprises of the year, I would say, for me.
I finally got to see Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Hell yeah.
I've been trying to watch this for years, but it was never on streaming. Never on streaming.
That's weird.
Finally pops up on HBO Max. So I hit play as fast, like as soon as I found out. I was like, this is what I'm doing for the day. This is dumb as hell, but that's exactly what I wanted it to be. You know, I wanted that really stupid humor, and I got it. The only thing that I didn't like about it, which is just like an aging thing, you know, I'm sure if I saw this in 2016, it would have been that big of a deal. But it was like kind of annoying, you know, where they do in like the interview type, where they're talking to like Nas and like Pink and Mariah Carey and stuff. It's just like, no, I don't like this. This isn't funny.
That sounds like it.
But really, that's it. But that's really the only thing that I didn't like about it. Everything about it is just funny as hell and absolutely stupid as can be.
I've been watching the MacGruber TV series on Peacock, and I get the same vibes from that.
Yeah, just there's certain times where I just want like the dumbest comedy possible, and they deliver.
Hell yeah! So that's Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. I recommend that too. It's a really fun comedy. I saw John Wick Chapter 4. You know, with the John Wick series, I've loved all of them up until this point, and I was like, how can they keep doing it? I remember I said this when John Wick 2 was about to come out. Like, how can they possibly live up to the first one? Well, I'm still saying that even in the fourth entry in the series. This might be the best one of all of them. It feels the most mature, but the cool thing about John Wick is that it's like an action fan's action movie. It pays homage to so many different eras of action film, so many people. It is, not only is it a great action movie in and of itself and sort of cementing itself as one of the best action franchises ever, it acts as this really great sort of timeline or history lesson of action movies. Like, this one features a lot. I mean, it's nonstop. It's just like the other ones, almost nonstop action. This one has Donnie Yen in it as like one of the big adversaries, and this may be Donnie Yen's best role that I've ever seen him in. Not only does he get to showcase that he still has it as far as the action chops. I mean, like, he kicks so much ass in this movie. He plays a blind swordsman, by the way, and he is really funny. Like, his character is so like sarcastic and goofy, and he's great in it. You see, there's a great fight scene between Donnie Yen and Hiroyuki Sanada, and that is like an incredible showdown that I never imagined that I would see. The two of them having just a freaking nuts, like, balls out fight. There's a nunchuck scene in this where you don't see that too much, but yeah, so there's a nunchuck action scene. Scott Adkins is in this one and plays this very portly, like, gangster guy. So there's a great fight scene with Scott Adkins. And there's this one scene that I think, I haven't read much about what people are saying about this, but I imagine it's the one scene that everybody is talking about, where, and this is something that I've said in the past that someone should do, and that's a top-down action scene. So, and that's exactly what they do in this. So there's a scene where John Wick is fighting through this, like, sort of dilapidated building, and it is all done in a top-down perspective. So the camera is floating above John Wick, and it's going like through the rooms, and you know, it's like a cutaway thing. And not only is it the whole action scene done in a top-down perspective, all a single take, of course, it is, using guns that have dragon's breath rounds. So if you're not familiar with that type of ammunition, it's basically bullets that also shoot fire. So it is maybe one of the best action sequences I've ever seen in a movie. It is outstanding. And the stunt work in this is just, man, it is on the next level in this movie. So it's basically a showcase of an amazing group of performers, choreographers, cameramen, stunt people, just working at the top of their game. So highly recommend John Wick Chapter 4. Just see it. Oh my God.
Well, I caught up with everyone else and watched Everything Everywhere all at once.
Hell yeah.
It's what, won like 47 Oscars?
It won a lot. I didn't watch the Oscars this year, by the way, but yeah.
Something like that. Just a ton of Oscars. I had a good amount of fun with this one. It got a bit tiresome towards the end, especially when the messaging became clearer and clearer. I was just like, be kind to everybody. Everything will be cool. And I don't know. This started to irritate me. This whole idea of that we just be kind. Things will be great. When I've never accomplished anything. But I will say that, like, the first fight sequence in this movie, with the fanny pack, the excitement was high. Like, I'm very excited. Fanny pack fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
What more could you want? And I thought, for the most part, I found it to be pretty damn fun. It just the deeper that the narrative got, I started to tune out a little bit. The messaging was a little bit weak for me. But everything else I thoroughly enjoyed. Some of it didn't quite make sense to me. I don't understand why her girlfriend Becky isn't in any of the other timelines. That seems weird. But all the people that work at the IRS building are. I don't know if that says something about the relationship and where it's going to end up. But I don't know. Like, I enjoyed it for the most part, but I also failed to see, like, what the hullabaloo was all about.
I loved it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was just, like, because I've watched it so far removed from the overall discussion, when everyone was discussing this movie, and to watch it so late after the fact. I guess there's always going to be that bit of, inherent letdown, maybe. But, at the end of it, I was just like, yeah, it was all right.
Nice. Well, yeah, I loved it. I think it was my number 2 movie of the year or something. So
this is one of those movies, though, that, like, when we started it, I thought we started it early, right? And then it was like bedtime. And I was like, oh yeah, we'll stop. And I stopped, and there was still like an hour and 30 minutes left. And I was really confused. I don't know what happened. I don't understand how it was possible.
I saw it in the theater and had a really good time in the theater with it. I've been continuing my deep dive into Walter Hill. I'm closing in on a full filmography watch with him here. So I saw Extreme Prejudice from 1987. This is a action thriller with Nick Nolte, Powers Booth, Michael Ironside, Rip Torn, Clancy Brown. It's a who's who. And what you have here is a group of army guys who are all marked dead. They're all DOA. They're all killed in action. But guess what? They're not. They're forming a covert secret group, and they have to go up against Powers Booth, who is this narcotics kingpin, smuggling drugs into the country from Mexico. And it's just badass. William Forsythe's in it too. He plays one of the army guys. It's badass. I absolutely loved it. It goes all out. It's just full on testosterone fest here. Yeah, that one, Extreme Prejudice, maybe not my favorite Walter Hill, but definitely maybe top five. Maybe top five. I think I still like Southern Comfort more. As far as like the ensemble, like Dirty Dozen style movies that he does.
Yeah, no, this just got watch listed.
Oh, I mean, it's awesome. Like, it's Walter Hill knows how to shoot an action scene, by the way. Like, he's like the king of squibs. This dude, I don't know what he does with his squibs, but like when people get shot in his movies, it looks different than every other movie. Like, somebody gets shot and it's like a bucket of blood comes out of them. It's like people just explode when he does action scenes.
I love it.
Yeah, recommend Extreme Prejudice. It's awesome.
The other thing I watched, well, the last thing I watched is Red Rocket, Sean Baker's, from like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
2 years ago. Finally got around to seeing this one, and I will echo what I think most people said about this, is that Simon Rex is really good in this movie. Like, very, very good. This is another movie that I thought was fine. It was okay. I enjoy the main thing that I enjoy about this movie is like getting to watch a movie that's just about like regular people,
just slice
like
of life.
Like a certain income class that you don't get to see that often, that don't seem to be in movies as much as they used to be. So that's always kind of like refreshing, just seeing, like everyday type people. The only thing the only knock that I had against this really is that early on, I thought I was really into it because it seemed like Simon Rex's character had some like complexity to him. He's a bad guy, but there seemed like there was something there, and then there's a certain thing is introduced in the narrative of this movie, and you're just like, well, okay, he's not complex at all. He's just a fucking dirtbag.
Yeah,
and it's like okay, like that kind of worked.
I liked it,
but it was so long that I'm just like, there's no complexity to this guy at all. He's just a fucking dirtbag. That's
the thing. Like they make you think that there's an arc that's happening here, that he's getting better, that he's learning.
Yeah, but it was very short. It was a very short-lived arc where you're like, oh, okay. And then it was just very quickly, no. And then there was so much movie after that I was just like, well, I don't care about this guy. Like, I don't give a shit about it. And I know all these guys, I don't know. It's just something about it. I still liked it for the most part. It's just, I don't know. Between this movie and Florida Project, I did enjoy it more than the Florida Project. Much more. But I don't know. There's always this, like, twinge of, like, exploitation that I can't quite pin down with him. I don't know. Something about Sean Baker just rubs me the wrong way.
Something about Sean Baker rubs me the right way.
Whoa. Really? I guess that's true.
Yeah, I'm really into his stuff. Cool. That is Red Rocket. And by the way, I didn't like Red Rocket as much as Florida Project or Tangerine, for that matter. All right. I guess I'll keep the Walter Hill thing going here. I saw a bunch of stuff that I don't really feel the need to get into, including Hard Times from 1975. This is like an earlier one for him. I feel like he was like kind of honing his style in this movie, and I think that this movie really starts to show Walter Hill's style. This is a Charles Bronson movie about like this he's sort of this drifter guy. He's very stoic, classic Bronson character. He starts to do like these underground bare knuckle boxing matches, and he teams up with James Coburn, who manages him. And this is just it's a pretty light, good I guess action drama. That one's I would say like a light recommend. Another light recommend that I would give with Walter Hill is The Long Riders, which is a Western about the Jesse James and his gang. The interesting thing about this one is that it stars David Carradine, Keith Carradine, Robert Carradine, James Keach, Stacy Keach, Dennis Quaid, and Randy Quaid, and Christopher Guest, and Nicholas Guest.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actors and their siblings. So, like, all of the people in the gang were, like, brothers in real life and brothers in the gang. So that was kind of fun. But you know, it's a good Western. It feels a little bit too kind of generic for me. I'm not super into Westerns to begin with. And for a Western to really kind of grab me, it's got to be something unique. And this, unfortunately, while it's good, like the acting is good, the performances, the action sequences are exactly what you would expect with a Western. You know, like they're not doing anything too crazy here. So I guess I would say that one is just pretty average. I saw Brewster's Millions, which I never saw before.
What?
Yeah, I never saw Brewster's Millions. Any version. You know, there's like 25 versions of Brewster's Millions, but I knew all about it. I'm pretty sure I've seen like parts of it, but I don't think I ever saw it the whole way through. I mean, I knew the concept of it, which is great, by the way. Like the premise of Brewster's Millions is fantastic. I thought that this was okay. It was a little bit too chaotic for my taste. Like it just never stopped. It was always going at like 100 miles an hour. And I felt like there was just no reprieve. And Pryor, while great in this, was like, I don't know, he was just going full on in this movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of cocaine.
Yeah, I think that this movie was 100% cocaine fueled. Him and Candy. Yeah. I mean, it was nuts. And I saw 48 Hours, which I don't think I ever saw 48 Hours before. But that's a great buddy cop movie.
Oh man, I used to fucking love this movie.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great. And I think like this is, you know, peak Eddie Murphy here. 82. I think isn't that when or maybe it was 83 when fucking Raw came out. Yeah.
87.
Oh wow, 87.
Well, the movie did. I wonder.
Huh. Delirious. That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of Delirious. Anyway, yeah, 48 Hours is great. Classic buddy cop. I also saw Red Heat, which is another buddy cop movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jim Belushi, and Arnold plays this KGB operative, and he has to team up to bring down this like Russian mobster. And that one's pretty good too. So I'm absolutely loving this Walter Hill deep dive. I'm almost done, which is kind of sad, but I got like
I'd say you can't have that much left.
No, I have like maybe 3 more that are on my list. I have Undisputed from 2002 with Wesley Snipes. I have Trespass from 1992 with Ice-T, and I think Ice Cube is in that too. And then I have Johnny Handsome from 1989, which is with Mickey Rourke.
Wow.
So we'll see how all those go. But yeah, those will be my final 3. Now there'll still be a couple things like Supernova and Crossroads and a couple Westerns in there that I'm just really not interested in. And also, I don't know if I'm going to watch some of his new movies. Like he did The Assignment that came out in 2016 with Michelle Rodriguez.
I did hear that newer Western that came out just like a couple of years ago was supposed to be pretty good.
Dead for a Dollar.
Yeah, I heard good things about that.
That's the one with Christoph Waltz. That just came out like last year. Yeah, I don't know. I might watch. I'm just really not in a Western mood.
Yeah, you gotta be.
You got to be in that zone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I get in the Western zone, but after the Long Riders, I'm just like, I'm kind of done with the Western stuff for now. Anyway, I'll follow up next week and let you know how that all turns out. All right, let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. Got a couple notable ones. Air is first up. That comes out April 5th. This is the Air Jordans one with Ben Affleck, Matt Damon.
No. No. I don't like this new trend. Like, instead of having biopics, it's like
Products.
biopic. Yeah, it's biopics of brands. Like, get the fuck out of here.
There's a BlackBerry. Well, you saw the
Yep.
BlackBerry one coming out too, but that's Matt Johnson, so we're not gonna talk shit on that.
But I don't like where we're headed.
Yeah, I don't know. And they all kind of feel the same too. Like, obviously, I haven't seen Air or BlackBerry, but they all just have kind of the same vibe to them as well. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. We also have the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I'm actually pretty excited about this. I think this looks pretty fun.
I hope so.
I think this will be pretty good. It looks pretty good. That's also going to be coming out on the 5th, and then on the 7th we have Paint, which is the Owen Wilson comedy where he plays like a Bob Ross type of person. It's not directly like he's not playing Bob Ross, but it's very clearly supposed to be like Bob Ross.
Carl Nargle.
Carl Nargle. That is an amazing name. Oh my god.
This is the first that I'm learning about this, and I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see this too. I'll definitely check this out when it hits VOD. I imagine this is going to be a pretty quick VOD turnaround, and I think that's in limited release. We also have One True Loves, that's in limited release. How to Blow Up a Pipeline, I think that's probably a limited release as well. On VOD this week, starting with April 4th, we have Colorblind. We got Living with Chucky, which is a Child's Play documentary. Then on the 7th, we have Blood Covered Chocolate. I think it's a vampire movie. We got One Day as a Lion. We got Balloon Animal. On Netflix, we got Chupa. Also on Netflix, we have Oh Belinda. Got El Hoob. And then on Amazon Prime, we have On a Wing and a Prayer.
Oh.
Starring Dennis Quaid.
Oh, man. Wow.
I guess that's like a faith-based thing. Which is kind of weird that Amazon would be putting out something that is...
Oh, no. The pilot dies unexpectedly mid-flight.
Oh.
Doug White has got to land a plane, save his entire family.
Oof. How about that?
Dennis Quaid is Doug White, saving his family.
Doug White. Not as good as Carl Nargle, that's for sure.
Not even close.
On Blu-ray this week, we got Cool Hand Luke from 1967 coming out on 4K. I love Cool Hand Luke, man. What an amazing movie that is. Midnight Run from 1988 coming out in 4K. That's a Shout Factory release. Got a bunch of Star Trek stuff coming out, including First Contact and Nemesis and Generations and Insurrection. Got all kinds of Star Trek stuff coming out. Let's see what else we got here. Confess Fletch. That's the new Fletch that came out last year. That's pretty good. I liked that one. Envy from 2004 with Ben Stiller and Jack Black. And that's pretty much it. Is that a holiday weekend? It's Easter, right?
Easter.
Yeah, that's why there's like nothing coming out.
Easter.
I assume that there's no... Are there Criterions?
There are no Criterions. I can't get over Envy getting a...
Envy.
I forgot all about this movie.
Yeah, I never saw it. Well, I don't think I saw it. I might have seen parts of it on TV. Yeah. But I always remember seeing the cover at the video store and being like, what the hell is that movie? Because I think it was one of those movies that was like made way, way, way before it actually came out. And like it just had like a very quiet kind of straight to video release.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is. I don't know if I've seen the entire thing because it was that bad.
Yeah, I think I did see parts of it on TV.
An atrocious movie.
All right, well, I think that's going to be it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. If you have a minute, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That'd be great. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.